Welcome to the Unity of Olympia podcast.
Woo, that was great. All right, I'm willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. Do you need me to say it again so you can say it with me? Are you ready? I know it's not on the board, sorry. Okay, here we go. I'm willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. Okay, we're going to practice throughout the lesson today. So by the time we're done, those of you who are like, hopefully I'll get you on board. So our opening song, the looser the grip, the lighter the load. But I like to hold on tight to things. That's just the way it is. But we have what's called the power of choice. The power of will is one of the 12 powers. And for those of you who are new to Unity of Olympia and you're going, well, it's that, it's okay, ignore that part. The power of will is an innate gift that we have. We have the power of will. Many people think of that as something that's like a willful child is stubborn. They're willing. But what I wanted to say is that the power of will is about personal alignment with the will of the divine. And whether that's the divine as you, well, it's the divine however you know it. The highest and best. That's what the power of will is for. It's about alignment. That's the whole service right there. It's about making a choice and then making that choice the same choice, the choice you make. I was with Terry Charles this week. Was that just last week, Terry?
I know, right?
Oh, gosh. So much has happened. I was with Terry Charles, and she was driving. I chose to have her drive because I didn't know where we were going. I mean, I knew kind of, but I didn't know the way. And so we're driving down the road, and then we're heading up the hill, and suddenly there's all these cars and cops and lights, and it's like, ugh. And you know what I did as the passenger? They know. I did a little backseat driving, and I was helping her out by telling her what to do. Anybody do that? And then immediately, I heard myself immediately, like 5 sentences in, 3 or 4 minutes in, I don't know, it was a while. Kind of immediate. Before we got out of the car, before we moved lanes, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be a backseat driver. Your car is not wrecked. Apparently, you know how to drive. And she's like, oh, no, it's okay. And I'm like, no. Because it's about my choice to align my will with my highest good. My highest good is not to be a backseat driver. And I'll tell you why. Because being a backseat driver comes out of fear. That's the place it comes from. It comes out of fear that that person that I got in the car with, that's driving the car and has my life in their hands, is going to make a mistake that is going to cost me something. Terry Charles, how long have you been driving? 45 years! 40, that's a little bit shy, but okay, I'll go with that. I know how old she is. Yeah, so you know what? I could probably trust her. I don't want to be a backseat driver. And then you know what she did? She started telling me about the other person who was a backseat driver in the last month and how much it irritated her. I'm really glad. So part of my choice is to talk about it with her in the car about why I don't want to be, talk about it with you as an example, because it's something I want to end. Does anybody else do some backseat driving? 2 people, excellent. There's something that you do. There's something. the tighter the grip, the harder life is. The looser the grip, the lighter the load, right? Just let go. It's not like I'm going to get over there and drive for her. Today's lesson really is about the power of personal will. Personal will is the faculty that allows us to choose. That's what it is. Now we partner that with wisdom, hopefully, spiritual wisdom, in order to see what's going on, into checking in within, into prayer with spirit, looking for guidance, right? So we can make a wise choice. We want wise willingness. And then for me, partner it with strength. Because I can make choices and then change my mind. Does anybody else have that? Yeah, I'm so glad. There's two of you. When we rely on the wise one within, that infinite presence that many of us call God, for access to the spiritual wisdom to guide us, and then the personal will engages the divine strength that is within to move forward. Then we become a conduit of the power of God. And that's both personal, right? It becomes a personal will experience and a universal will experience. I'm willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. Ready? I am willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. All right. There comes a moment in every spiritual life when we realize that the greatest power we'll ever access is not out there. It's not out there. It's already living within us. It's the moment when personal will stops being a clenched fist and becomes an open hand. It's the moment when strength stops being force, making yourself do something, and shifts to flow. It's the moment when wisdom stops being information and becomes inspiration, illumination. Eric Butterworth gives us this statement: infinite mind, another word for God, will put ideas in your mind, words in your mouth, creativity into your hands, and boundless opportunity before you, and guiding light on your way. Does anybody else have that experience of the divine? That suddenly you have these thoughts, you know what to say, you know what is yours to do, and suddenly there's a path that you can see that you couldn't see before. This is what metaphysics is about, right? Moving beyond the story of driving a car and being in the passenger seat and driving the car, like that. You probably can't see my foot at home, but I'm stepping on the gas. I am willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. Together, I am willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. The reason I chose the power of will to focus on today was primarily because it's the power that our children's program is focused on for the month. And today they're using a book called Chip the Monk. The author of that book was here a few years ago, and I'm just going to give you a synopsis. It's set in a land far away and long ago, filled with peace and contentment, where children laughed and adults danced and sang with them. Then one day, a new character showed up. Pea-brain. Pea brain was like a little irritation that just wouldn't quit. Soon the harmony that had pervaded the land was filled with trouble, upset, blame, and anger. But the animals in the land of harmony didn't seem to be infected by pea brain. So they went to the wise one. Where's the wise one?
Chip the monk?
Within.
No.
Oh, okay, that's okay. They went to the wise one who foretold the coming of Chip the monk and his loving wisdom that would restore harmony in the people's hearts. When Chip showed up, all the animals really loved up on him, nurtured him, and then one day, the wise one told him what his calling was. You're here to restore harmony in the hearts and minds and the lives of the people who have been infected by pea brain. Chip the monk ran away, went to his room, climbed under his bed, shut the windows, and said, yep, nope, not me. In there, pea brain got to him with ideas like, I'm too small, I'm not strong enough, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to do this. Outside his door, all the animals from the forest were just sending him love, holding him in a nurturing thoughts. After 3 days, pea brain was quiet, and the wise one within, Chip the monk, was finally available again. She taught him many, many ways to remember the truth, how to stay calm, how to stay centered, how to return to calm and return to center when he wasn't. Chip the monk realized that his work was to teach that fear, also known as pea brain in this story, is undone inside the mind. And freedom and joy are the result of turning away from pea brain and reaching for the wise one. That's when his journey began. And for many of us, that's our journey, right? Over and over and over again. I don't know about you, but I have this thing where I like to repeat lessons that I haven't learned yet by showing up as a backseat driver. This book, 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, is a book that the Board of Trustees and I have read and studied once, and it's so good we're going to do it again. Because we, as a board, are willing to be led by God in all we think, say, and do, even as God shows up as a book with instruction. I'm guessing you are too. I am willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. Together, I am willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. The first commitment in this book, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, by the way, this book is about above the line and below the line behavior, actions, thoughts, words. Let's see if I can find the first chapter. I'm just going to read to you what the first commitment is. It's taking radical responsibility. I commit to taking full responsibility for the circumstances of my life and for my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. I commit to supporting others to take full responsibility for their lives. Now, let me tell you what pea brain says that is. It's all my fault, and those other people, I'm going to blame it on them too. Right? That's what below the line behavior says. It's either all my fault or it's not my fault. and other people aren't doing it right. That's the below the line behavior. Now, it actually has much more poetic words here for the below the line behavior, but that's the way I can remember it best. It's my fault, or I didn't do it right, or I did it, whatever, right? Somehow it's not my fault, or it is my fault, and you guys didn't do it right. One of the things that the authors of this book say is that if you think that you're never below the line, you're the person that's probably below the line the most. I really like that. Because that makes it really easy for me to go, oh yeah, there I am. Mm-hmm. This is about will, right? Aligning my will to take responsibility for my life. You aligning your will to take full responsibility for your life. And will is about making that choice or not, choosing something different. That's what our personal will is for, is to be conscious and then choose. That's why it's coupled with wisdom, spiritual understanding. It's about the choice. Butterworth, I'm going to bring us back to Butterworth for a minute. Butterworth reminds us that faith, having faith, is not a magic lever that gets God to do stuff for us. He says, religious teachings and teachers have conditioned us to think of faith as a magic catalyst that makes God work for us. In no way does faith make God work, nor does it release some kind of miracle power. Faith simply tunes into and turns on the divine flow that has always been present. And I would add, so we can see it, so we can be in it, so we can employ the power of will to choose to be a part of that divine flow. I'm willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do.
I'm willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do.
All right. So what gets in the way? Ego. Ego that wants to keep us safe. Ego that is afraid. Ego that is wants to make everything just right. If I could get the world and all its people in it, if I could get y'all to do exactly what I want done, then I would be happy, and so would you. I want to tell you, there's a part of my ego that believes that stuff. And that's why it's so important to know, to have an awareness of all of what's going on within us, right? Because my ego wants to keep me safe. My ego wants to keep you safe. My spirit understands that we're all in this together. My spirit desires all of us to be in this together. That it's not just my ideas are the best ideas. It's part of the reason that I've asked people to step into overcoming their own fears by having more time on the platform and removing me from the platform as much. I know that some folks are like, well, why aren't you up there welcoming us? Why aren't you doing the opening prayer? Hey, you know what? Because this is a we thing. This is a we thing, not a me thing. Although I do like being up here. Albert Einstein says, speaking as a physicist, not as a physicist, but as a moral philosopher, if people are good because they are in fear, if people follow directions because they are in fear, and hope for a reward, then we are a sorry lot indeed. Fear-based living is a small place to be. It's fear-based morality is, well, shallow, right? So fear is not a sign of weakness, though, or being wrong or bad. It's just a misalignment of where we make our choices from. That's all. When we have fear, if we can recognize it and move into that space of wholeness, and remember, I have personal will to choose. I see the fear. For me, it's about having self-compassion. I see the fear. I recognize it as my ego wanted to keep me and others safe. Almost always. Now, maybe there's something else that's going on for you with your ego. That's my ego. It just wants to keep me and you guys safe. I see that. And I honor it, but it can't be in charge. It can't be the leader. Spirit is the leader. I am willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. Together?
I am willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do.
So will, wisdom, and strength combined. These are the tools I'm offering you up this week to focus on throughout your week. If you're willing, you just said you let God be in charge. So check in with that spirit and see if that's what you're called to do this week. Will is the power to choose an alignment. Wisdom is the power to open and listen to spirit within and maybe without. Maybe there's symbols out in the world, things that happen that are directions. And strength is the courage to say yes. Well, that's what I wrote, but you know what? I'll tell you what, strength sometimes is the courage to get down on the floor and do the exercise even if I don't wanna, because I made a choice. In yoga, they say the hardest part is getting to the mat, right? Strength is whatever the mat is for you. Strength is that first step that gets you started on keeping that commitment to yourself. Strength says, I'm willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. So, here's a little, how do I do that? If you're really brilliant, you can do things like pausing before you speak. I haven't found that to be very active action in my life. It seems like a really good idea. And so when you hear that you are below the line, either in your thoughts or your words or your deeds, when you're not in alignment, pause and just check in. Listen, right? Pause, take a moment, listen within for guidance, and then say to yourself, to your highest self, to the divine, to God, what is mine to do here? And if it's telling everybody that you're a backseat driver, no more, no more, and that you're aligning your will with not being a backseat driver anymore, or anything else, and you have the strength to do that. The song was the looser, the tighter, no, the looser the grip, the
Lighter the load.
The lighter the load, the looser the grip, the lighter the load. We're not meant to live by force. We're not meant to hold on tightly. We know that not only does that cause us mental and emotional stress and anguish, but it causes physical stuff. It's one of the paths to dis-ease. So I hope that these tools are tools that you will make available to you. Infinite mind, God, Spirit, Holy Spirit, the wise one within. It's ready. It's always ready for each and every one of us. So let's close with that affirmation one more time. And I'm not going to say it first because you all know it, right? Together. I am willing to be led by God in all I think, say, and do. And so it is.